Welcome back. About to start a new project. I got the Joker here. What I did for the reference is I found a picture of a cosplayer and I kind of traced some of it and kind of exaggerated some of it and added my own thing. One of my goals with this painting is to work on hair a little bit more. That's one of the things that I feel like I'm a little weaker in. So I drew this drawing to kind of dip my toes into hair a little bit more and kind of have a little bit more fun with it. It's the best way to get better at something. I'll show you my palette here. We got kind of a limited palette, pretty similar to the last one I did if you saw the Darth Vader video, but a couple different colors here. I got a little bit of a darker red, got a brighter red, light brown, dark green, kind of a medium green there, got a light blue, kind of like a darker like navy blue, and dark purple here, and that's white. I don't have anything in the center here. Yeah, you can see I did a little bit of black already with a marker, and some of the lines of the teeth and like the little spaces in between, I felt like it'd be a little too difficult to get a paintbrush in there, so I cheated a little bit with a black marker. I also got the little pupils in the eyes just because I wanted those to be like kind of tiny, just to make them look a little crazier. So we're about to get started. I'm going to start off with some layers of brown and blue in the darkest parts. I'm going to look at my reference and kind of isolate where the darkest parts are. There's going to be some here in the mouth, behind the teeth. There's going to be some here in the eye sockets and this nostril here. Those are probably going to be the darkest parts of the painting. So I'm going to spend some time kind of blocking those out. I'm going to work on the background a little bit, and we'll check back in once we're at a point where I can kind of explain a little more what's going on. Look at this. I got voiceover technology now. I'm adding production value. Now with every video I do, I try to learn a little bit more about editing, so I'm starting to do some voiceover stuff with this so I can kind of explain what's going on in post. I recorded a couple other parts in this video where I kind of explain what's going on periodically when I'm at sort of a break or a stopping point, but this way I can kind of explain what's going on in real time here, and I'm watching the video too. So right now I was just working on the hair a little bit. Now I'm blocking in some of that mouth, kind of adding some darker tones to the gums, adding some darker tones to the eye sockets and the hair there, just kind of generally adding darker tones to kind of start to bring the painting to life a little more. Usually I start off with the darkest tones and work my way to the lighter ones, and I kind of use the paper as highlights, try to preserve the white of the paper as much as I can for like the brightest spots. And usually things just kind of have a way of falling into place once you get the darks down and you get started on the mediums, and you can kind of see it coming together. Another trick that I do a lot, and you'll kind of notice even with the time-lapsing, you'll notice it like zooming in and zooming out. That's because I'm wearing the GoPro on my head, and every now and then I'll like to kind of take a step back and kind of blur my eyes when I'm looking at what I'm working on, and that can kind of help you see the abstract shapes a little better. And sometimes, like if you're trying to, say for example, draw hands, it's difficult because in your mind you're trying to draw hands and you're focusing on like this finger and that finger, and you kind of lose track of just the abstract shapes that the shadows make and everything. And that's kind of more of what you want to focus on if you're trying to make something that looks realistic, is just the abstract shapes that the shading makes and the lighting. So yeah, that's a little interesting tidbit there. I'm just kind of watching, just kind of doing the same stuff. I got like a little bit of a lighter brown out there, and I'm kind of doing some creases in the forehead and whatnot, and a little bit of the details that aren't going to be quite as dark. And then I'll get done with a layer of brown and go back into it with a layer of blue, and that'll make black. I kind of explain that later in the video too. But I always learned that it's better to build up your dark colors with combinations like that and different layers rather than just going in with black paint and just painting it black. It's kind of, I don't know, that's just what they taught me at Fancy Boy Art School. Coming up on the end of this bit of the time lapse, so pretty soon I'll kind of take a little break and explain where I'm at and what's going on. We'll talk to you then. Taking a little break to let some of this paint dry. All of this was a couple layers of light brown and a little bit of light blue blended into the brown to get these darker tones. Right here. Then we had a little bit of purple back here, a little bit of red back here, working on the background a little bit. Just laying in the undertones for the hair with dark browns and light browns, kind of figuring that out before I go in with the greens. And just kind of slowly chipping away at it, layer by layer. And here we are back to time-lapse. You can see me just filling in the details in the mouth here. I'm just using blues and browns for now. A little bit of purple and red for the background there to get that started. And we're just working on the other painting with the blues and browns. You can use any combination of colors for your underpainting really, and whatever combination you use will give your painting a different flavor. I just prefer blues and browns because they make a nice black when you mix them together. And the darker brown and the darker blue that you use, the deeper shade of black it'll be when you mix it together. Just a little experimentation. Just kind of play around with different things. Find out what works for you. But that's why I use a pretty limited palette. When you're painting in layers like this, you can overlay different colors on top of each other to blend new colors into it. And it looks a little better when you do it like that anyway, rather than just, getting a purple right out of the pack. Just mix a blue and a red to make a purple and it'll look better. Familiarize yourself with that color wheel. It's fun watching it in time lapse. You get to see everything kind of come together real fast. I want to say this whole painting took maybe probably 3 days. Probably somewhere between 6 and 8 hours, if I had to guess. Worked on it a couple hours each day. Goes a little faster when you get towards the end. You kind of see it coming together. It's a little more exciting. A little easier to spend time on it then. We're about to start day 2. Here's what it's looking like. I may have accidentally recorded a little bit without the camera being on. Probably just a couple minutes. Didn't get too much done. But there's where we are. I got the underpainting pretty much finished. I'm going to come back and refine these gums a little bit. Got these shadows in there pretty good. So I'm going to add a little bit of his makeup and stuff and get the red lips. Develop the background a little more. I got my paints right here. I keep a little saran wrap over them overnight so they don't dry out. Might add a little bit of water to them. Gonna change out my water here so I have fresh uncontaminated water. And we're about to get going. I bet I can finish this today. I got a few hours to work on it. Looks like I was wrong about finishing this today. It took me a little bit longer than that, but that's okay. I'm recording this voiceover on, it's April 9th right now, 2020, so we're in the middle of this whole quarantine thing. I thought I was going to have a lot more time to work on paintings this last week, but I ended up having to do a bunch of stuff to get, things settled for that with my business and whatnot, and going to the store, making sure we have enough supplies to make it through the lockdown. But now I got all that out of the way, and pretty much the only thing that's on my agenda from here on out is just a lot of relaxing. So I plan on getting a lot more painting done then. Let's check in what's going on here. Looks like I added a little more background. I've started some light blue in around the eyes to kind of bring out a little more of that detail. And see, I kind of got the layers of the hair started. We'll get a little more into detail with the hair once I kind of start getting deeper into that. You can kind of see that I like to jump around a lot. I don't really like to stay focused on any one area for too long. That's just kind of the way that I was taught to work on things. If you get fixated on one thing, like let's say you just find yourself spending way too much time on the mouth, and you kind of lose track of the rest of the painting, and the whole thing just kind of suffers, I think, as a result of that. So I like to move around a lot, and I kind of just focus on like one layer of tones at a time. Like try to get the dark tones down first, and then get a little bit lighter from there, and then kind of get a little bit lighter from your next one. And, just a little bit by little bit there. But yeah, you can see him chipping away at those gums and the detail in the mouth there. Just a little bit by little bit. I'll move on to a different part. Yep, see there the eyes and the nose. Working on the chin a little. Laying in some lighter blues on top of the browns and darker blues. Adding some detail to the forehead there. Background's coming together nice. I try to always pick colors for the background that are going to complement the main colors that I end up using. And this one, the purple and the red, kind of plays off the green and the blue. It's in the face and the hair. Fun stuff. Take a little break to let some paint dry. Just check out how the face is coming along. I still gotta add the red lips. I'm gonna get some yellow out to put in the eyes, and I'm gonna put a little bit of yellow in the hair also. Gotta finish up that forehead a little bit, those eyebrows. Gonna finish up the background and the hair, and we'll pretty much be done. Yeah, you can see this face coming together really good now. That hair definitely needs some more work. Here we are adding in some darker tones, just kind of defining the layers a little more. I think I'm still on the browns, haven't quite started with the greens yet. Actually, I might be doing some greens right there. Yeah, there we go, adding some greens. I kind of think of color in terms of like stages, so you want to have like a dark, a medium, and a light. And I kind of started the hair off with like dark browns, then I kind of transitioned into greens as my mediums, and I add some yellow highlights here. And then like once I add the yellow, I kind of start working the mediums a little more and kind of evening everything out. Get into a place where it, it's not too light or too dark. It all kind of blends. I mentioned at the beginning of this video that I wanted to practice hair a lot with this piece, and I'm pretty stoked with how the hair came out in general. The way that I understand painting hair, or drawing hair in general really, is you can get carried away and mess up by focusing on individual strands. What you want to do is you want to kind of just look at like the shapes that the shadows create and just sort of the general flow of the hair, and just kind of block out shapes and create the hair with shading, rather than just trying to like draw this hair and draw that hair and draw every little hair. It's not going to work out that well. Especially with paint. Paint doesn't really work that way. But this worked out pretty good, just kind of blocking out the basic shapes of the dark areas. Adding that yellow, I think, really made it easier to kind of see the shape of the hair. And this background too, I'm working on the background a lot in conjunction with the hair, because I want the background to kind of help the hair stand out more and kind of make it pop. And those complementary colors come into play a lot there. Like purple plays off yellow a lot, red plays off yellow a lot. So we have the one side red there and the other side purple. And it just kind of, makes a cool effect for the eye to look at. Just the way that different colors play off each other. And the background, you can tell, is just kind of abstract. I didn't really get too fixated on the background. When I'm doing a painting like this, I'm more focused on the face, and the background's just kind of there to service the rest of the composition in general. There's that yellow. It's looking good. Taking a little bit of a break to let the paint dry. Pretty close to being done. The face is more or less where I want it. Got a little bit of tweaking to do there. Mostly I'm working on the hair. I just laid all that yellow in, and I'm going to come back with a little bit of a brighter green to blend into some of it. I'm going to leave some of the yellow in some of the parts, and you can see I left some of the white of the paper there still. I'm going to preserve some of that also. But we're getting there. It's looking a little more like hair. Alright, we're on day 3, about to get started. Really, I could have finished this yesterday, but I kind of had a lot going on, so figured I'd let it settle in and see how the paint looked. After it had a night to kind of dry out and settle in there, it looks a little different. I feel like colors pop a little more after it has some time to kind of cure, kind of air out, I guess. But anyway, I'm just going to add a little bit of color into the hair, a little bit more green, kind of even out that yellow I put in yesterday. And I got a few like little tweaks that I want to make with the highlights in the face. Nothing really that big of a deal. I should be done within, a half hour probably. So we'll see how it goes, and I'll check in when we're done. That estimation turned out to be wrong. I'm not so good at figuring out how long it's going to take to finish something. But it's worth it. I think a half hour turned into 2 hours, something like that. I don't know. But at this stage, it's kind of hard to keep track of all the little things that you want to, keep working on and changing. Especially just bouncing all around it like that. Sometimes I take notes, and I'll just write little notes for myself. Left eye. Crease under left eye. Or like back sector of right hair behind ear, just make little notes to yourself so you can keep track of everything, you don't forget. We're really close. I'm gonna add some dark into the hair to kind of accentuate the layers here, get like the dark brown that I have. But I almost got the hair where I want it to be. The flow's there, I just kind of need to accentuate the folds and the layers a little more. Gonna tweak this face a little bit and kind of bring out this kind of upper lip area a little more. Probably mix like a really, really light blue, water it down a lot to kind of like blend this out a little more, bring that highlight out. But yeah, we're pretty close. Might do a little bit more with the background up here too. I feel like it needs a little bit more red, kind of blended out lightly like it is out here. Just kind of bring it all together. Here I'm mixing up that light blue that I was talking about and putting it in. That upper lip area was a little too shadowy, so mixing up a brighter color like that can really help to kind of like even it out and tip it over back on the scale of brightness if it's a little too shadowy. And a little bit more shadow. I said I was going to add some brown Alright, I tried adding some brown into the hair like I was talking about to accentuate the layers, but it wasn't cutting it, so I did a little bit of blue, and I'm liking how that's turning out. So I'm going to do the same on this side a little bit, kind of even it out, and a little bit more in here to kind of accentuate the layers a little more. And we'll pretty much be done after that. And we're really in this home stretch now. You can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Probably getting tired of hearing me say accentuate the layers by now. That's definitely an overused phrase for this video. But it's important to accentuate those layers at the same time, so don't sleep on that. Alright, we're done. Here's what it looks like. Some of this paint's still wet. Tomorrow, after it's had some time to dry, I'll come back and show it again. Then I'm going to spray it down with some of this. Just a sealer to protect it, kind of preserve the colors. It'll make it pop a little more too, so I'll show what it looks like after that. But yeah, that's another one down. Alright, here's what it looks like. I sprayed it down and it's had a chance to settle in. So yeah, we're done with it. Here it is up close. See all the little details. Pretty happy with how everything turned out. It was fun doing the hair. Like I said, I started this project out wanting to get a little practice on hair, and I feel like I learned a lot. So yeah. There it is. Like the video if you liked it. Hit subscribe. I'm going to be updating this channel weekly. So yeah, check back if you want to see more.